From Ponyhenge in Massachusetts, USA, welcome to the GCN Show.
Welcome to the GCN Show.
This week, the 5 biggest storylines from the Tour de France, and Tadej Pogačar isn't one of them.
We will also reveal the most cycling-friendly city in the US, what the UCI has banned now, and we will play the ultimate cycling board game.
Yeah, find out if Dan is actually cut out to be a Tour de France commentator.
This week in the world of cycling, we learnt that the UCI are back and they're banning things.
Yeah, what are they banning this time, I hear you ask? Well, they want pro cyclists back using tech from the 1800s, that's what.
The humble safety pin, which risked going extinct in pro cycling circles, is back. Number pockets are out.
Yeah. Now, in fairness to the UCI, technically they haven't banned them yet, have they? According to Cycling Tips, who broke this story, the UCI actually sent a letter out to the teams contesting the Tour de France Homme and the Tour de France Femme and politely requested that riders don't use number pockets anymore.
So it might not be a new rule, but I agree with the premise because A, those numbers are very difficult to see from certain angles on television, most angles actually, from what I've seen this last couple of years, and B, pinning your number on in a neat and aerodynamic fashion, it should be a rite of passage for all professionals, part of your daily routine.
Well, yeah, that I agree with, actually. Long live the safety pin. I mean, presumably you've still got a tin of them, haven't you, somewhere? Like
I have, yeah. Well, I kind of have, but I handed it down to Jude, passed it down through the generations for his cyclocross racing, and for some reason, he just doesn't seem to be cherishing that plastic pot of pins in quite the same way that I did.
Kids today. Disgraceful. Now, we also learned this week that ex-pro cyclist and current World Tour Director Sportif Matti Breschel has invented and created a new cycling board game. Look at that. We're going to start the season in Strada Bianca. Okay, Dan, I'm going to test your general cycling knowledge here to find out if you are actually cut out for your Tour de France commentary gig that starts in, 3 days' time?
4, yeah. Well, this is quite worrying.
Yeah, it could well be. Now, officially, the rules say that the person who goes first is the one with the biggest thighs. Oh. But I don't think we need to measure, do we?
That's thighs, not ankles. So we probably should measure.
Dan, you can get arm warmers on your legs. They're so skinny.
Okay, true.
But anyway, I'll let you go first. Okay, so Strada Bianca.
Oh, this is a good one for me.
Right, well, let's find out. The cycling world watched in astonishment as Mathieu van der Poel planted Julian Alaphilippe on the final climb of Strada Bianca 2021. What was the maximum power registered during the exceptional acceleration? 1,198 watts, 1,256 watts, 1,313 watts, or 1,362 watts?
1362.
1362 watts. Dan, you have passed the first test.
Well, we did a couple of shows about it, didn't we?
We did
and
indeed.
My memory's not quite as bad as I remember.
We will revisit this later on.
We will do indeed.
You passed the first test, Dan.
Of how many?
Many.
Oh dear. Well, let's maybe just end it there. Anyway, the Tour de France does, of course, start this coming Friday. But barring disaster or bad luck, it does kind of feel like the overall win might be a foregone conclusion.
Will anyone beat Tadej Pogačar? No, not likely.
Probably not. That said, we thought we'd give you 5 really cool stories for you to watch out for during the 3 weeks at the start of July.
That's right, so you can impress your cycling mates as well. First up, Jumbo-Visma teammates Primož Roglič versus Jonas Vingegaard. And yes, we said versus. In theory, their collective might could be enough to topple Tadej Pogačar from his throne, but will Vingegaard actually topple Roglič from his throne as team leader for Jumbo-Visma?
And that happens really regularly, doesn't it, in the world of cycling? Ulrich did it to Rees a year after he won the Tour.
Did he win the Tour?
Who knows at this point? I'm so confused. Also, Froome did it to Wiggins the year after he won the Tour, and it will happen, you'd imagine, to Roglič at some point. I'm going to be as interested watching that dynamic play out, see how much freedom they give Vingegaard in the first part of the race, as I am in seeing them trying to topple Tadej Pogačar.
Yeah, it'll happen to us one day, won't it, mate? 2 very average and slightly cringeworthy cycling presenters will be sat here having toppled us from the GCN show.
Is that because we've got even worse, or they're just far more talented at being cringeworthy?
Watch this space. Yeah. Right, next one.
Will Geraint Thomas stay upright?
Harsh, but fair, I think. I mean, even he would probably have to admit that he does fall off his bike more than most. I mean, bad luck just seems to follow that guy around. But if he can stay on his bike, it's going to be a fantastic story to watch, isn't it?
It will, and we'd like to see that, wouldn't we? Because even though, given his great form, it would still be unlikely that he'd win in a head-to-head battle against Pogačar or Roglic. You just want to see all of them get through to the high mountains with all bones intact, I guess, and still in the GC hunt.
Indeed. Now, slightly related to that, this next storyline we're going to call Last Chance Saloon. So Chris Froome, you might have seen, has been selected for his Tour de France team, Israel Premier Tech. I mean, he also gets to wear this fancy new kit.
Hot or not? What do you reckon?
Hot, for me, I think. Question is, will he be able to do anything when he gets to the Tour?
4-time Tour de France champion, horrific injury, lengthy comeback. I mean, I think we'd all like to see him win a stage.
Great storyline.
Wouldn't we? Love him or hate him, the work he must have had to put in up to this point to get back to the Tour de France is noteworthy. Chances of him actually winning a stage, very, very small, I would say.
Yeah, however, there are some other former hitters on the start line that we will also be rooting for. Thibaut Pinot, the brilliant but fragile Frenchman. Romain Bardet, 5 years since his Tour de France podium? And also Nairo Quintana, the Colombian hero, 6 years since his last Tour de France podium.
I reckon that if any of those 4 riders win a stage of this year's Tour de France, there will be huge parties amongst most of the cycling community.
That's right. Unfortunately, Dan, as you said there, only 3 out of the 4 stand any chance.
Ouch.
Sorry, Froome. There it is. Right, next, I think the route of the race this year is going to give us some cracking storylines, isn't it? But incidentally, did you know it takes 4,400 signposts to direct the riders around France?
Wow, no, I did not know that. Very good fact, Si.
Thank you.
All right, first up then, the bridge.
Not the Scandi Noir detective series of the same name, nor even the same bridge, but potentially offering similar levels of drama and suspense.
18 kilometres long, incredibly exposed to the wind, a guardrail that doesn't look quite high enough on the side. I mean, it looks sketchy to say the very least, doesn't it? Take a look at it.
Crikey. I mean, it has the potential to rip the race apart, doesn't it? But as you said, that guardrail, I mean, hopefully the Tour de France organisers have done their risk assessments, but the taller riders, potentially, they're going to be a little bit worried.
It would look a bit worrying, peering over the edge, wouldn't it?
Maybe Nairo
the peloton suddenly sways across the road
Exactly.
just next to you. Next up then, the cobbles.
Oh, stage 5, featuring 20 kilometres of northern France's best/worst cobbles. I mean, love them or hate them, but this is definitely going to give us a storyline or two.
Yeah, it's kind of compulsive viewing, isn't it? But it's like watching a horror movie through your fingers. You sort of don't want to see what's happening, but you have to at the same time.
You do.
Then we have the Galibier.
Twice.
Oh, that's right, yeah. The Galibier. Twice. That sounded bad at the end. But this climb is a monster, isn't it? It goes over 2,600 metres above sea level. And I don't think I'm going out on a limb when I say it might have a bit of a bearing on the overall outcome of the race this year.
Now, of course, there'll be many, many other storylines and plot twists over the course of the 3 weeks. Make sure you let us know in the comments section what you're most looking forward to, apart from the battle for the yellow jersey. So get involved in the comments section.
We haven't even mentioned Wout van Aert or Mathieu van der Poel,
No.
have we? So, of course, we're looking forward to those stories as well.
Absolutely we are. Now, if you live in Europe or Asia Pacific, excluding China, Japan, Australia, and you guessed it, unfortunately, New Zealand, you can, of course, watch the Tour de France live from beginning to end over on GCN+. And you can also check out the breakaway pre- and post-race shows where Dan joins Orla, Robin McEwen, and also Adam Blythe in another little-known Tour de France classification, which is the battle for the ultimate high fashion statement.
I've got less chance of winning that side than Chris Froome's got of winning a stage of this year's Tour de France, unfortunately.
Yes, the odds are not in your favour.
That said, these new hoodies and the T-shirts that we've designed in collaboration with the actual Tour de France, no less, they're selling like hotcakes.
They are indeed. So if you like the look of them, and bear in mind you'll make it look a lot better than Dan does, head over to shop.globalcyclingnetwork.com and get in quick, because we've got less than half the stock left, and the Tour de France hasn't even started yet. And also, over on the shop, there's loads of other cool stuff too.
There is. Yeah, don't forget the yellow edition Elite water bottle, and indeed, our latest book, The Ultimate Fan's Guide to Pro Cycling. And now, I mentioned the Galibier a few moments ago, but it's not just the Tour de France riders who will be tackling it this year. So too will anybody competing at L'Étape du Tour, or riding it. And that includes our very unfit middle-aged man, Cillian Kelly. It's not far away now, is it, Si? So he must be really looking forward to it at this point.
I bet.
Yeah.
Bit of a setback. It's the first time in a good few months that I've set out to do something and I've failed. So just over 2 weeks to go. And big blow to morale. Thought I was just going to sail through this. 3 hours worth of climbing would have been great. I just ran out of puff. It was definitely because of the heat. So 16 days to go, I think. 17 days to go, and cause for concern.
And now it's time for cycling shorts.
Cycling shorts now, and we're going to start with another question for Dan from the Pro Cycling Quiz. Are you ready, Dan? We're going to go topical now. We're going to go for the Tour de France.
Ready as ever?
Yeah, I'm completely butchering the game, just to let you know. Right, Dan, in which edition of the Tour de France did the so-called Festina scandal erupt?
1998, when it started in Ireland. Is that a bonus point?
No, but you are correct. 1998.
My job is safe for the time being, isn't
For
it?
now, yeah. Right then. It's a competition for you lot to get involved with now.
Yes, it's from Cillian, who have produced some special edition Tour de France saddles, and they're giving 3 of them away, which 3 of you can win.
Yeah, how cool is that? They look mint, don't they? So if you want to enter, and I suggest you probably do, click on the link in the description. Now, moving on, some news from the United States now, where People for Bikes have just released the results of their annual best places to cycle in the US.
They have. So, in reverse order, the top 3 best places to ride a bike in the US are...
It's like the Oscars, this, isn't it?
It is, isn't it? In 3rd place, Fayette in Missouri. Not to be confused with Fayetteville, which is about a 20-hour bike ride away in Arkansas.
I was going to say, thanks for the clarification, Dan. In 2nd place, it's Davis in California.
Well done, Davis. But the winner, the best place for cycling infrastructure for riding a bike in the whole of the US is...
Provincetown in Massachusetts, which ranked very highly, didn't it?
It did. It got 81 points in total, which was 9 more than its closest challenger in the competition.
Because very good access to neighbourhoods, places of work, supermarkets and hospitals, among other things.
So very well done to Princetown. Colorado did very well as a state in general. It had 3 places in the top 7. You had Aspen, Boulder and Crested Butte.
But they didn't make the podium, did they? But anyway, head over to People for Bikes. They do have a very cool website, among other things, offering advice to towns and cities looking to bump their way up the rankings, or indeed improve their infrastructure. But let's face it, it's all about competition, isn't it?
Sticking with the US just for a moment longer, and after last week's classic GCN curse, in which we talked about our duo of riders competing at the race across America, you will be pleased to know that Jonathan Schubert has now recovered from COVID, which is excellent news.
Yes. Yeah, it was a 2-rider race and we could only field 1, couldn't we?
The winner of the individual event was Nicole Heist, who completed the race across America in a time of 10 days and 4 hours.
Yeah, finishing just 3 hours and 58 minutes ahead of her was the winner of the men's race, Alan Jefferson. Meanwhile, Sofianta Healy won a particularly grueling edition of the Tour Divide, which is the length of the United States down the Rockies to make it even harder, and off-road, as opposed to racing the width of the United States on the road for Ram. Anyway, his finishing time was still just 14 days and 16 hours. Here he is on the finish line. And thank you very much to the Bikes or Death podcast for the photo there. If you're into bikepacking, make sure you check them out.
Moving on, Strava has once again been found to be the source of information that has allowed people to discover some top secret locations.
Yeah, so last time, back in 2018, it was a top secret US military base that Strava's heat map had revealed because it showed all activities that have been uploaded, including those that have been set to private.
Yeah, they've changed that now. But this time around, fake researcher have been researching what's been going on recently, and apparently people are creating fake profiles and then fake runs in very sensitive areas around Israel. And after they've done that, with a bit more hacking on the back end or whatever it is you do, they can actually see who's been running on those segments, even if their profile and their activities have been set to private.
No way! Who knew that Strava could be used for espionage as well as for catching people for bunking off work?
Exactly. Right, some really interesting news in the tech world now from bicycle retailer, because there's a new bike company in the US called Bridgeworks who are setting up a new facility where they will be making their own carbon frames. But in theory, they could also be making frames for other manufacturers in that facility in North America, which is something that's not really happened anywhere but Asia so far.
That's right, yeah. Bridge Bicycle Works, so make sure you check them out. Now, moving on to Kenya, and the marathon world record holder, Eliud Kipchoge, has partnered up with Ineos Grenadiers to start a new cycling academy there, which is cool.
Really fantastic news, because there are undoubtedly a huge number of potential future cycling champions there, just waiting to be discovered really, but normally they just don't get the opportunity to even have a go.
No, sticking with racing for a little longer, the Quickstep Alpha Vinyl team roster for the Tour de France was announced, and there were some surprising omissions.
There were. I mean, Mark Cavendish, we kind of knew he wasn't going, but after that performance on Sunday to win the British National for a second time, you thought, surely he's got to be taken.
You did.
He's not there. Neither is the world champion, Julian Alaphilippe, despite a comeback to competition at the French Nationals, which, all right, 13th place on the day. They're not even taking the French national champion, for goodness sake. Florian Sénéchal, who's clearly on great form.
No pressure on Fabio Jakobsen's shoulders then, eh? Much like you, Dan.
Oh, no.
It's question time. Fabien Cancellara holds which record in Tour de France history?
Oh, is this not multiple choice?
Not this one.
The record for the number of days in yellow without winning the race.
Yeah!
I was going to say a speed record in a time trial, but then suddenly that came to my head.
That's actually impressive, mate. Well done.
He's really surprised.
I am, yeah.
He's like, never going to get that.
Oh, no, I thought I'd picked out a particularly tough one. Anyway, next up, we're going to catch up with Ottilie Quince, who you remember is cycling from the UK over to Mallorca, raising money for the Urology Cancer Research Charity and also the Urology Foundation while she's doing it. Let's see how she's getting on.
Hey guys, we've just finished stage 16 of the London Square Oki Vuelta a Casa, and in true Grand Tour fashion, we're here at the Arc de Triomphe in Montpellier, not Paris. We got 5 more days to go, raising money and awareness for 2 urology charities, and it's been an epic journey so far. We're in week 3. Last week we took on the amazing Tour de France climb of Alpe d'Huez in a massive thunderstorm after 90 kilometers. Nice way to finish that stage, and we've got 5 more days to go, so please keep continuing to support us. It's been epic so far. We're heading off to Girona before we then head to Barcelona and over to Mallorca to take on Pijmayor.
Thank you very much, Ottilie. And she's actually very close now to her target fundraising amount of £20,000. So please, if you can, help her get across the line. We'll put a link in the description just down below.
Yeah. Now, before we move on to hack/Bodge, one last quick request from you lot. We really, really want to hear from you, hear your thoughts about cycling media and cycling content in general, with a view, therefore, of improving GCN and ultimately giving you more of what you want. So, if you've got a few minutes spare, please, could you fill in our questionnaire? There's a link to it in the description below, and you will be in with a shout at winning a voucher for your time. So yeah, please do that. I think ultimately we will benefit, particularly you lot.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Indeed.
Hack/Bodge of the week now, starting with this one from It's Liam Burns. The club passed this today. I don't even know what to say, I presume is what the end of that bit is.
Yeah.
That to me looks like somebody is using a bike to transport some fairly heavy timber, and they're just currently resting the bike at the side of the road and probably resting themselves as well. Now, depending on the situation of that person financially, this could well be a massive, massive hack in my book.
Yes, I would agree with that, except it does look a little bit on the dodgy side, doesn't it, if I'm totally honest?
Well, it does, but some people have no choice, do they?
Well, yeah, all right then, are we going to have to give it a hack?
I'm going with hack, yes.
Okay, fair enough.
Even though 65% of you went with bodge.
Oof, hard to please. Next up, we've got this one from Stanislav Pirka. For those who treat racing too seriously, XD. Now, I had to Google this. That is like
We just went on to
like a laughing face.
Dad's Digest, didn't we, just to look it up?
We did indeed. Anyway, I like it. It's a water bottle case designed and handmade by Stanislav in his grandma's garage, and he's even got a Kickstarter for it. So there you go. If you want a laughing emoji water bottle cage.
Yep, looks very neat and tidy, doesn't it?
does,
I'll
doesn't
go hack with that.
Yeah, let's go. I wonder what other like initials you could get as part of a carbon bottle cage.
Yeah, DL,
I reckon.
SR.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'd
Give it
say
a
that
go.
with zero knowledge of how to make bottle cages, but I'm sure. Hack
That
from me.
one, yeah, hack from both of us and hack from 3/4 of you exactly.
Boom.
Next up, 24QKJWY554, username. Friend had a snap front gear cable. Bike shop there couldn't fix the internal routing problem, so I advised him to use the trick that I've used successfully before. We've settled on the middle chainring out of the triple, found a piece of wood that would hold the front mech in a suitable position for the journey home. Where he got to the beer garden by the looks of things. Please consider this for a hack rather than a bodge, as it could be argued that he could continue riding around Richmond Park in this lovely sunny weather all week with the twig in place. People are starting to plead now with what we should decide as to whether it's a hack or a bodge. And for that reason, that is a bodge.
Oh, serious?
Yeah.
Nah, that's a roadside maintenance hack, isn't it? If you can keep your bike rolling in an appropriate gear even after you've snapped your gear cable.
But he's going around Richmond Park in circles.
Well, he is now. It was a get you home job, wasn't it? And now he's just, you know, bike shops get busy now.
Well, true, yes, but...
It's a bodge for internal cable routing. That's what it is.
I'm still going with bodge. I just don't think we should be swayed by the text.
No, all right.
Well, and I have been, but in the wrong direction.
Fair enough. Okay, and then, like a cactus, broke a spoke on a commuter, so they threw their wheel on their back using 2 bungee cords and hopped on a road bike. The strange thing was that the mechanic at the shop didn't blink an eye, instead looked at me like there was nothing strange at all. I don't think there is anything strange. What a super cool way of transporting your broken bit of bike by another bike.
Well, I'll go with hack then.
Absolutely, hack for me. That's amazing. Even though you got a bruise on your back.
But
That is
only
unfortunate.
47% of app voters went with hack for that one. Lastly this week, we've got this from PWearin38. It needs no explanation, reusable zip ties.
I think it does need an explanation. What?
Well, I don't know. There must be a way of releasing it that's a bit easier than a standard zip tie. Because you can release a standard zip tie
can,
with
yeah.
a very small screwdriver. So I'll go bodge.
That's the ultimate money-saving thing, isn't it? When you pick out an old zip tie, so you can reuse it.
Yeah, I used to do that all the time.
Yeah, I did. I still do. Yeah, I don't see. Well, there's a bodge for me. That's not a zip tie.
Well, it's a hack from 65% of voters. Incidentally, I noticed when I was reading through the comments underneath last week's show that the person that claimed that their front wheel was also held on by a zip tie, so they were only joking. So thank goodness for that, because we were slightly worried.
Indeed.
Don't forget to vote on the hacks and bodges that are already on the app ready for next week's show. And don't forget to get involved if you've got any of your own. Just submit them to the GCN app. We look forward to seeing them.
It's time now for Caption Competition, that part of the show where you get a chance to get your hands on a coveted GCN Elite water bottle. All you got to do is put a witty caption in the comment section down below that relates to a photo we're going to give you shortly, but of course it's results first from last week.
It is. This is the photo from last week of Remco Evenepoel from the Tour de Suisse. The winner is Stuart Marler, who put caption, "I need something cold and refreshing, a water and ice bath, Evenepoel."
Oh, yes, Stuart. Nice. I like it. A yellow Elite water bottle is coming your way.
as soon as you send us your address as a Facebook message.
Yes.
This week's photo comes from the Belgian National Championships from last weekend. I will get you started. Crikey, these cyclocross barriers are getting ridiculous.
Yeah, I like that. That's good, mate. Almost bottle worthy. See if you can beat Dan's caption. Stick them in the comment section and we will pick out our favourite next week. Right, we're getting towards the end of the show now, aren't we? Some important things to tell you about for stuff to watch this week.
Yes, because it's not just about the Tour de France, which starts, as we said, on Friday. Before that, starting today actually, when the show comes out on Tuesday, we've got the Baloise Belgium Tour, a 3-day women's race. It starts with the prologue, then 2 road stages. And then from Thursday, it's what is, up until now at least, has been the most prestigious stage race in women's cycling, the Giro Donne, or the women's equivalent of the Giro d'Italia. It's still 10 days long. It also starts with a prologue. And Annemiek van Vleuten, she skipped the Dutch Nationals this year for the first time in over a decade because she wants to win both the Giro and the Tour de France. And that's where she starts her goal.
Oh, that's going to be good, isn't it?
And
that's a storyline.
Both those races incidentally available in all territory, so no restrictions there.
Yeah. In terms of what's coming up on GCN Plus this week, I had to go slow cycling, which was pretty
I don't know why you
grueling.
don't rope me in for those ones.
It's a good point, actually. I think it's because you'd like it, as opposed to... No, actually, anyway, it was great. If you're familiar with Jack Thurston, who's the author of the Lost Lane series, Jack is just brilliant, and it was the most unique bicycle ride I have ever been on, so make sure you check that one out. It was cool. I had a good time. Dan, before we get on to what's coming up on GCN...
No, not.
One final
actually, I'm doing
question.
all right. I think whatever happens in this last one, I should still be all right to commentate on some of the race.
We'll let you decide, but I'm going to play the wheel sucker card.
What does that mean?
It means...
It doesn't surprise me, but what does it mean in this instance?
So it means that even when it's not my turn, if you get the answer right, I get the same amount of points as you. I could have played the elbow card, which would have been good, but I'm going to go for wheel sucker. Right, okay, you ready?
Yep.
How can one tell that a team leads the team classification in the Tour de France?
They wear yellow helmets.
No.
Oh?
They wear yellow race numbers on their
Oh,
jerseys.
that's it. That's it. Oh, well. At least you don't get the points.
I was going to say, Dan.
Right,
man.
that's enough of that. Coming up on the channel this week on Wednesday, we've got a very, very exciting new tech launch. We can't reveal what just yet, but I can tell you, because I know, you really do not want to miss this one.
No, you don't.
You are going to want to watch that. I hate people that do that. Some people at the office, they're on these groups and they're like, they insinuate they know something, but yeah, sorry, I can't tell you. Sorry, I can't tell you. Thursday, the Tour de France explained in 5 levels. So if you're just getting into it, or wherever you are with your cycling enthusiasm, there's something there for you. On Friday, an update on Manon, because she's training for her first ever gravel race, isn't she?
That's right, yeah. She's going for the big one, Steamboat Gravel Fondo, or Gravel Race. 144 miles. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Anyway, so yeah, check out that one. On Saturday, we got our hands on the world's most expensive bike. So that's one of Team GB's Lotus Hope track bikes. And Alex went to see just how fast it really is compared to an ordinary track bike. So do not miss that one. And then on Sunday, we're super excited. We have managed to get hold of Dan Martin, so 5th place in the Tour de France, winner of Liège-Bastogne-Liège, and see whether or not he can ride a mountain bike down a World Cup downhill track. So, yes, make sure you don't miss. That's part 1 coming out on Sunday.
I haven't seen that. I will be watching.
All right, that's it, isn't it?
It is for this week's
GCN
GCN show. As ever, if you've enjoyed it, please click on the thumbs up button just down below. We'll see you next week, but hopefully before that, for all of the women's racing and for the Tour de France starting on Friday.